Our process, we were out there in the middle of the night, picking, sorting. Forklift picks up the bins as they're ready to be picked up, brings them in here, doors closed, conditioning on, and I don't want the grapes to get warm at all. The chemistry in there starts to change, and I don't want that to happen. So the forklift brings in our bins of grapes and tilts the grapes, and the grapes start to fall. And in fact, that machine is right on the other side of the wall here. A stainless steel bin about that big. And at the bottom, there's an escalator that goes up. Okay? So the stainless steel bin with an escalator that goes up from the bottom of that. The bin is tilted here. The grapes start to go into that bin. I've got two people, one on each side here. As the grapes start to go in there, they're going to be catching the grapes here, looking for anything that's there, throwing that into the buckets behind, and down in there, finding anything in there that goes in the buckets also. Then the grapes start to go up the escalator. I've got two people at the escalator, and they're going to be tapping the grapes like this as they start to go up. And when you tap them like that, the bundle opens up and it flops. Like that. And when it does that, if there's anything stuck there, the four of them can now pick whatever's out. Okay? Because what I want to go up the escalator is grapes. Only grapes. Okay? No lizards, no rodents. This grapes go up and into another machine called the deep simmer and crusher. So the bundle of grapes goes in there, and there's paddles that kick the stems out, and now the grapes are ready to be crushed, except we don't crush. We disengage the crusher, and now whole grapes are falling down. I know that doesn't sound normal. It's a red wine. So no crush. So whole grapes are falling down. It falls on this other machine, about the size of a table, about from me to the end, and it has a bunch of slots in there. And now the whole grapes are falling on this machine, and that machine vibrates and bounces the grapes, the whole grapes. So the whole grapes are vibrating and bouncing along, and now I have 6 to 10 people on this machine, and they're reaching down and sorting grapes. That grape is a little too ripe. That's a bucket. Oh, there's one. Not ripe enough. That's a bucket. So they'll be sorting the grapes. They'll go into a stainless steel bin, and then the whole grapes will go into the tanks here to start the fermentation process. All of my tanks are refrigerated. So the whole grapes goes in there. Then we put yeast in there. Then I put CO2 gas on top. Then I put a lid on top of that. And it's not going to be 80 plus degrees in there. It's going to be 60, 50, 40, okay? And it's not going to be a week later. It's going to be a month later, or sometimes longer. And now we're going to have wine, okay? About a week, 10 days into it, the whole grapes are starting to break down, and the yeast are going real slow, and they're real cold, and the yeast need a little bit of oxygen. So we have another bin about that long and about that wide. We fill that with dry ice, and we're going to give the yeast some oxygen in what's called a free flow going in there. And we do that twice a day for about a month. This free flow in there also gives us an opportunity to take a little bit of harshness out of our red wines. There's two things, bitter and harsh. Bitter mostly comes from the garbage. You know, the garbage that we can think about? That has some bitterness to it. Also, you get a little bit of bitterness with branches, leaves, and little stems and big stems. And along with that little bit of bitterness, you also get some harshness from the harsh tannins. There's soft tannins coming from the skins of the grape, and harsh tannins comes from the branches and leaves and the little stems and stuff, and seeds also, okay? So we don't have any garbage, and we don't have any stems and branches, but we do have seeds. And, you know, this is an aside, not some, but most wineries actually take branches and throw it into the fermentation to build the tannin. But you're going to get some harshness to that also, all right? We don't have all that stuff, but we do have whole grapes that are now breaking down. So on this free flow into the dry ice, we have 2 people there catching the flow with buckets behind us. And twice a day, we put our hands in that flow, catch the flow, and then shake it like that until it's mostly seeds, and then put it in a bucket, and we catch it again and shake it, and put it in a bucket, and catch it. Okay, that'll take a little bit of harshness out of our red wines. And if you're having red wines, I hope you've noticed that it has a little softer than, okay? And that's the work, okay? Yeah, I guess if you're following me that there's, what we do is a little bit more labor intensive, I guess, and a little bit, probably will cost a little bit more to do it our way. Okay, a lot more. What am I doing? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Basically, I want 2 things from my wine. I want varietal character and a wine good with food. That's what I'm doing. Varietal character is basically fresh fruit, all right? Like a nice crackle crunch on the apple, fresh fruit character. That's what I want. And there's every varietal of grape has some specific fruit characteristics in there for that varietal. That is what I want in my wine. That fruit character in my wine. Fresh fruit. You know, apple, peach, pear, plum, whatever fruit you can think of. Yeah, like maybe a nice peach, okay? Take a bite of a nice peach. Smells good. Tastes good, right? Peach. You ever think about what do you smell when you take a bite of this peach? It smells good, right? Someone goes here and says, nice peach. All right? What do you smell like? It's got to be this solid thing. Peach, right? Yeah, it's got to be volatile. It's actually these aromatic, volatile little molecules. It could be lactones, ketones, pyrazines, esters. These are groupings of molecules, and one of those molecules is a peach molecule, and it goes right here when you take a bite of that peach, and it says, nice peach. Okay? You good? What are you tasting? What you taste is salt, sweet, umami, bitter. That's it. That wonderful meal you had, dessert, all these wonderful flavors and everything. Nah, it's all nose. 80–90% of what you eat. If you think about it, it's either sweet, salty, umami, which is a meaty flavor, and bitter. That's it. That's all you taste, period. Nose. Aromatic little molecule that says nice peach. You smell that. That is the peach. Sugar is something else. The peach is that molecule. You get it? So any fruit that you're thinking about, the fruit is these aromatic molecules of that fruit. You don't taste the fruit, you smell the fruit. Oh. This is it. Aromatic, volatile little molecules in a great big huge stainless steel tank with a nice hot fermentation, no lid. You get it? Aromatic molecules, the essence of the fruit is going up. What do most winemakers say? No big deal. We'll leave the fruit on the vine a little longer, get a little more sugar on that. That sugar is going to bring out some nice fruit. We're okay. It kind of makes sense, actually. If you think about it, how do you make jam? You take fruit, add sugar, cook it, make jam. How's jam? Pretty doggone good. Got a lot of nice sweetness to it, a lot of fruit characteristic. It tastes pretty doggone good. So the idea kind of makes sense, all right? Now, if you know how fruit ripens, it's a little different story, okay? When fruit is green, there's no sugar, like an apple, whatever. But there is a lot of acidity, any fruit. Peach, banana, pear, whatever. There's a lot of acidity and no sugar. And then the fruit starts to ripen, and sugar rises and acidity drops. This little balance spot right here, crackle crunch, fresh fruit right here. Sugar rises and acidity drops. Yeah. And the winemaker says, time to pick. Okay. Fresh fruit, sugar rises, acidity drops, and he says, time to pick. And looks at that and says, a little high in sugar, a little low in acidity. It's a little sweet and a little mushy. And then the yeast is added, and the yeast is going to take the sugar and convert that to, yeah, good job. All right, this is where you learn about wine. All you have to do is know the alcohol level of wine, and now you're going to know a whole bunch about the wine. A whole bunch about the wine. All you need to know is the alcohol. And then that's going to clue you. You're going to know a whole bunch about the wine. All right, alcohol level to know. 14%. 14% alcohol. The U.S. government says not just wine anymore. You now hit 14%. 14% and up is now considered a high alcohol beverage. 14% and up, high alcohol beverage. 14% is where you start tasting alcohol in wine. That's when the alcohol starts to taste. Okay, 14%. 14%, kind of a visual. 14%, no sugar, lots of acidity. Sugar rises, acidity drops. Stop. 14%. This is a kind of a visual of it. A little high in sugar, high in alcohol, a little lower in acidity. Okay. If I ask you about any alcohol level at all, and it's a 14 or higher, 14 or higher, acidity here, sugar, alcohol here, your answer is very, very simple. 14 or up, a little high in alcohol, a little high in sugar, a little high in alcohol, right? A little lower in acidity, okay? 14 goes to 15 to 16, whatever, right? And it doesn't matter. All you have to say is, if it's 14 or up, it's a little high in alcohol, a little high in sugar, which means high in alcohol, and a little lower in acidity. Anything below 14. Below 14? This. No, this, I'm sorry. All right, a little lower in sugar, lower in alcohol, higher in acidity. So anything below 14 is lower in sugar, lower in alcohol, and higher in acidity. All right, that's a dividing line is when you hit 14. Once 14, a little high in alcohol, a little lower in acidity. As long as it's below 14, it will be a little lower in alcohol, a little higher in acidity. So, okay? We're okay with that? I guess it's what we probably should know what is California alcohol level, right? Mm-hmm. Well, 100, 200 years ago, California alcohol level was 5, 6, 7. Yeast would die, maybe 8, that's it. 7, 8, that's it. Today, what is alcohol level of California wine today? Well, we have 13s. What is normal? 14, 15, that's normal. We also have 15.5, 16, 16.5, 17, 17.5. Do I hear an 18? I hear that there is an 18. I haven't seen it, but I've been told there's 18. In other words, the wonders of science over the last 100, 200 years has worked with yeast to not die at 7%. They now can go up to 17, 18%. And the yeast is making the alcohol. Nothing else, because that's wine, right? Yeast, grapes, that's it. So we're talking about yeast now being able to make very high alcohol wine. When I say high alcohol, do you know what 17 is? Brandy. Do you know what brandy is? Distilled wine. Hard alcohol. And what normal? 14, 15? We have lots of 16s and 17s. Anybody Old Vine Zen fans? Old Vine Zens? Mm-hmm. Yeah, a couple? Yeah. Those are 17s. High 16, 17s, all right? That's the perfect Old Vine Zen, all right? So, yeah. So, Do we drink California wines? Yes? Taste okay? Yes, I agree. They taste fine. Well, if you start tasting alcohol at what? What did I say? You start tasting alcohol at 14. And we just said normal is 14, 15. But we also have 16, 17s. That means, I guess the winemaker just has to fix the wine so it tastes good, right? Because we all agree it tastes pretty good. So what's the fix? I call the fix the cocktail syndrome. So now you have to understand what a cocktail is, all right? You get a glass, you pour some alcohol in the glass, take some sugary fruit drink of some sort, you pour that in the glass, maybe some fresh fruit on the end of the glass, maybe a little umbrella will help. Like, maybe like a pina colada. Y'all have pina coladas? Because to me, pina coladas are a perfect example of it. Pina coladas, one nice thing, and I bet you all know this also, that the one nice thing about pina coladas is that there is no alcohol in pina coladas. Right? You all, yeah, really, there is no alcohol in pina coladas until you stand up.
Yeah,
right?
I think I stood up.
Is that true? Come on, that's true, right? You've had pina coladas, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You think they're fruit drinks.
Yeah.
There's alcohol in there, yeah. What's going on with that nice example of a wonderful fruit drink that you swear there was no alcohol in there? It's the sugar. Is masking the alcohol, and the sugar is bringing out some nice fruitful characteristics in that, and it tastes like a nice fruit drink, right? Back to the grape. No sugar, lots of acidity. Sugar rises, acidity drops. Winemaker says, ooh, a lot of sugar. This wine's going to be over 14, all right? And then he does a quick calculation, and then he starts the fermentation, and the sugar goes to alcohol, sugar goes to alcohol. Pretty soon he says, stop the fermentation. See that sugar? Still in the wine. He stopped the fermentation. Because when he did his little calculating, he was calculating the wine's going to be a 14.5, 15, maybe even a 15.5, right in that range. He needed a little residual sugar left in the wine. He stopped the fermentation because he needed a little bit of sugar to mask the alcohol, bring out some nice fruitful characteristics, a nice fruit forward kind of wine. Or maybe when he was doing his calculating, he was calculating the wine's going to be maybe a 15.5, 16, 16.5. We're getting close to brandy now. Let's leave the grapes out in the vine a little longer. Leave a little bit more sugar in there because we have a lot more alcohol, right? Need a little bit more sugar to do that. But more sugar is going to bring out more fruit character. Maybe not just a nice fruit forward, but maybe a bigger fruit, maybe a jammy type fruit, something like that. Or maybe when he was doing his calculating, he was calculating the wine's going to be a 17, 17.5 kind of wine. Definitely leave the grape out there longer. Leave a lot more sugar in there. Now we have brandy kind of alcohol. Need more sugar to do that? Oh, that's a lot more sugar. We're talking about bringing out some really big fruitful characteristics now, right? Because a lot more sugar is going to bring out a lot more fruit. Yeah. Are you still with me? Okay. 14, right? 15. A little more fruitful characteristics. 16. A bigger fruitful characteristics. 16.5, 17. Bigger fruitful characteristics. Okay? 14, 15, 16, 17, and see what's happening to the acidity. Okay? Are you good? Mm-hmm. And if anything is below 14, lower sugar, lower alcohol, lower fruit character, and a little higher in acidity. Right? Are you all with me?
Right.
Good? Time for the first test?
Oh, yeah.
Grab the bottle of wine. Take a look at the alcohol. Alcohol level of this bottle of wine here in my hand is in my hand, not your hand. My hand. My hand. All right, my bottle here, right there in my hand, is a 15.8. How's the alcohol? What are you supposed to say? Is it above 14? Okay, what do you say? Good. A little high in alcohol, right?
Yeah.
How's the acidity? A little low. What kind of fruit in this bottle?
Medium to high. Medium.
A nice fruitful wine. Okay. Okay, good. Easy? Good? All right, another bottle of wine. Alcohol. It's on there, by the way. Sometimes you have to look all over the bottle, but it's there. 12.2. How's the alcohol? Low. How's the acidity? What kind of fruit in this bottle? Okay? Good? We're good? All right, let's move on. Wine good with food. All right? Let's jump over to Europe real quick. Their wine's different than our wine. Still. Our wine, normal, 14, 15, right? And we have a lot higher. Normal, 14, 15. European wine, still today, the big guys are changing that a little bit. But still today, you can get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yes. What's normal? Normal. 9, 10, 11, 12. They have 14, 15, yes. What's normal? 9, 10, 11, 12. What does that look like? No sugar, lots of acidity. Sugar rises, acidity drops. Stop. European wine. Normal. Lower sugar, lower alcohol, lower fruit character, a little higher in acidity. What does that have to do with food? You ever get hungry and your mouth water? Yes. Then you had some food. How's the food? Good. Why? Because you're hungry. Does that make sense? You're hungry, your mouth water, engage your taste buds, sends a little message here and says, you know, food would be nice. And then you have some food and it actually is nice because you're hungry. All right, then you take a sip of this wine with a little higher acidity. What does acidity do to your mouth? Put a little lemon juice in your mouth and it will make your mouth water. Engage your taste buds. Sends a little message here that says, you know, food would be nice. Then you have some food. Food tastes just a little nicer because you're ready, because you're engaged here, okay? Food tastes good. Then you sip this wine, it will cleanse your palate, a little bit of acidity, make your mouth water, make you want to have food. And when you have food, food tastes nice. Then you sip the wine, it cleanses your palate, makes your mouth water. You want to have food, and when you have the food tastes good. Then you sip the wine, it cleanses your palate, makes your mouth water, makes you want to have food, and when you have the food tastes good. Then you sip the wine, it cleanses your palate, makes your mouth water. You want to have food, and when you have the food tastes good. Then you sip the wine, your palate, makes your mouth water. So physiologically, you're set up. And the Europeans have been set up for thousands of years. Because they've been having wine like that for a long time, and it continues that way. Okay? You all good?
Yes.
So it sounds like I have a little dilemma. I'm in America where we like nice, fruitful wines. Nobody ever looks at alcohol level anyway. They just want a nice wine with some nice, fruitful characteristics, period. And Americans socialize with wines. You know, we sit around and talk, you know, the gals get together. How are the kids? Everything fine? Sip on the wine. Europe, they have bottles of wine on the table, a whole bunch of food. A couple hours later, more wine, more food. That's lunch. Okay? Europeans have 20 plus gallons per person per year wine. Americans, 1/2 to 1. Europeans, 22 plus. Okay? Yeah, you take I talk to people all the time. They go to Europe, and I take people to Europe every year or somewhere in the world. Every year, about 20 people somewhere. And we do a wine tour and food and all kind of cultural tour. And they'll sit at a little cafe and we'll have them a great time. And they're having some wine and some food and stuff. And then they have a little bit more wine and food and producing a little bit more wine. And then we stand up and they say, did we just drink all that wine? Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Are you? Yeah, I'm fine. Who looked at the alcohol? Nobody. Nobody looks at alcohol or wine. It's wine, right? Okay, maybe. You hear what's going on there? Now you bring that bottle here and socialize with your friends and pour them a glass of wine and they're drinking this wine with a low alcohol, lower fruit character, a little higher acidity. I don't know if I like this wine. Yeah. Okay? So see my dilemma?
Yeah, we love the sangria, it's strong.
Yeah, that's good. I'm in America. I need a wine that is fruitful, but I want to be good with food and have more of a European feel. So I need a lower alcohol to do that correctly. Oh, I know how to do that. How about if I retain some aromatic, volatile little molecules, which is the essence of the fruit. That way I'll actually have the fruit in the wine. That is what you smell anyway, right? So we'll pick up the middle of the night. Whenever we do anything, we'll have dry ice, so it's nice and frozen, cold, okay? And then it'll be in those all containers, cold. When we do the fermentation, we'll have that cold. And when we do the bottling and stuff, that'll be cold. So we'll just keep it cold all the time. And lids on, CO2 gas, sealing it, so nothing escapes. And you understand? Retaining what? Small aromatic little volatile molecules in the wine, so I don't have to have a bunch of sugar to make it nice tasting. And that sugar, I have to have a higher alcohol wine, or they can't, no. Okay? So I have a lower alcohol wine. All of my wines are below 14, with one exception, this year. So 30 wines that I made, 29 are all below 14. And that one is 14.2, that got away from me. But yeah, everything else is below 14, all right? So all wine. All right, we have one more place to go. This is not a lecture, it's a tour. So we have to, oh, you have wine now. You can pick up your wine. No water is allowed in the wine.